All right, everyone, welcome to the show. My special guest is Mr. Derick Samuel. He is the founder of Quiktrain Online Fitness Coaching, and he's also a franchise owner with Popeye's Supplements Toronto Group. His company, Quiktrain Fitness Coaching, has been helping busy people get lasting fat loss results, kind of similar to what we do at FightFit, but for over a decade using simple, client-centric programs, practical nutritional strategies, and sound supplement advice. Derick, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks, Joe. I'm really happy you sent out that invite. Great to be here, man.
Yeah, man.
But to be completely honest, I didn't have anything else to do. So
yeah. We're all stuck here anyways.
That's it.
Dude, for everybody watching, me and Derick actually go back because Derick was when I was back in the day when I was young. I think he was pretty young too, but Fitness Depot days. We used to work for the same fitness sales company, starting to sell fitness equipment. So
that's right. The OG.
It goes way back. That's probably like 15 years, did you say?
Yeah, I don't want to give it away fully, but it's just it's way back. I want to get into that too because I thought Fitness Depot was some of the best experience that I had ever in my career. Yeah.
So let's get to it. How did you get started in the whole fitness industry?
So fitness was like most people that came up in this industry, like I was a varsity athlete, played basketball, track and field, typical guy. Like you hit that that adolescent phase where you feel a little bit insecure and you want to bulk up a little bit. I was a bit of a chubby kid, so I wanted to lose some weight. I wanted to get some abs, get some big biceps, and that's kind of what got me into it. My mom was always in fitness, so she used to go to the YMCA, the one over on Bayview and Shepherd. And I used to follow over there, 13 years old. I used to sit and kind of watch her. That was no fun. So I decided to do a weight training course. And then at 13, I was in the gym, just doing calf raises and pull-ups and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started early. So later on, so fast forward to, my university career, my varsity sports ended, went to university, got busy like a lot of the people that are probably on this call, and still wanted a way of maintaining my fitness. So I decided to just research programs and, look at fast ways to train. I was always in my 20s. I was always about working. I wanted to work as much as possible, make as much money as I could. So I just needed fast, quick, and effective. When the Fitness Depot thing came to a halt, because they were changing stuff, I decided to jump into personal training. To be honest with you, the chronology was I broke my leg in like the worst way possible. And it's not a good story. It was just one of those really icy days in Toronto where, you're kind of like everything's covered in like an inch of ice. And my shoes weren't tied up. I was excited to leave work and I slipped. I fell, broke my leg completely. Spent 8 weeks in a cast, but in that 8 weeks, I wrote a business plan for Quiktrain. So, I mean, I'm sure like as business owners, like we get stuff thrown at us all the time. Like this is one of those times for sure. And just switch that to a positive. By the time my leg healed, I came back, resigned from that, and then I started Quiktrain.
That's crazy. It goes back to my story when I used to get beat up a lot as a kid. That's why I took up weightlifting.
Yeah. Listen, man, I could tell you stories about that too, man. I don't want to keep it too low, but if we get to it, we'll get to it because that's probably why we all started watching kung fu movies too, because we just
heck yeah,
wanted to get that edge.
And I'd love to meet all my bullies and just say thank you. I was like, listen, if you guys didn't bully me as a kid, I probably wouldn't want to get into like fighting or get into weightlifting and get stronger.
Listen, man. Yeah, I know. I got a message for my friend Eugene. Eugene was like, he was a big bully in my school. And we had a couple run-ins for sure. But there was definitely some guys in my past that motivated me to be a bit better.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah. So you worked. Talk to me about Fitness Depot. You mentioned it was some of your best days and learning experiences. What were some of your takeaways from there?
And so they had a really good sales training program, but there was a couple of things that I learned. I had some really, really good teachers and mentors. So I think the best thing, we talked a little bit about what we're going to get into. Like one of the things that I learned was that I sucked. I got in there and I had the physical body. I was fit and I kind of looked the part, but when it came to selling, I wasn't that good. I couldn't express myself. I couldn't, there was guys in that industry, and I'm sure you remember them, that did not look like they worked out a day in their life. but they could sell, they could, get the point across with exceptional clarity, and they could, excite people about the things that they were selling, and, and at that time I wasn't able to do that. I was probably the worst salesperson in that building. And I was for a while. I had that job for I stayed there for about 5 years, but for the first, I would say 2, I wasn't that good. At one point, I can remember it clear as day. I looked at my manager, who was great and who believed in me and told me that I could be good. And I was like, this guy was, he was not the picture of fitness and health, I can tell you that much, but he got the best results. So I decided that instead of, kind of being down on myself, I was going to watch what he did. And try to emulate how he communicated with people, what he did, his body language, the way he related to other people, and emulate that as best as possible. When I started to take that approach, I realized very quickly that I could actually change the energy. I could bring energy to a conversation. I could control, how people felt about that conversation, and that was kind of the start of everything. I ended up leaving that company, top 3 in sales for the last 3 years I was there, just alongside the guy who trained me. Right, so it was a big difference maker for me, and he also had a lot of faith in me. So it kind of led me to do a little bit more.
So 2 things I took out of that Derick did really well. Number 1, he got a mentor or a model, someone to look up to emulate, like you said, because that's the fastest way to success. Let's just copy it at the end of the day, because you got to look at people that are doing things that are what you want, and just copy it, right? The second thing, the second thing, I think you talked about something really interesting, is like us as fitness trainers, we get into the industry thinking, hey, if we're in the best shape, we got the best 6-pack and everything, it'll sell itself. But if you can't communicate that to a client, or communicate why, how you are going to help them, who's going to want to work with you?
Yeah, ultimately, it's about people, right? And I think the kind of the trap of the fitness game is exactly what you said. People are attracted to the fitness business because it's like, hey, look at me, I've gotten such great results. But that's actually not what it is. It's how can you get that person results? And part of it is how do the technical aspect of it. The way you're able to structure a program, the way you're able to assess, the way you're able to communicate what you need to be done, and then sell that person on staying in the game long enough to be able to get that results, because it takes time. And then, the other aspect is obviously looking the part as well. But the more important part is the client, right?
For sure. And this is like the whole trend of the fitness industry. All these fitfluencers, all they do is post pictures of themselves, but not necessarily what they've done for their clients.
And that's a non-starter for a lot of people that I talk to. Like, I mean, if you talk to people, they see that stuff and they just don't see themselves in that place. I think for most people, and I think in this sense, we kind of have a similar focus, is that people want to be confident. They want to, they want to look good naked. They want to feel like they have control over their lives. They want to be healthy. They want to be free. They want to have no impediments. So if you have injuries, if you have, if you have, particular looming health issues, it's not freedom. So we're helping busy people kind of live their best lives, right?
For sure, dude.
And it's not about the abs. Yeah.
Absolutely. So talk to me. You beat this business plan, started Quiktrain. Talk to me about that journey and building your fitness business.
Well, that's when it gets crazy, because I was doing, as a lot of trainers start out. So my mentors were always, for the most part, books. So I didn't start in like the Good Life System or the LA Fitness or anything like that. I just started on my own. I actually just started because I've been coached before. I had an understanding about how to coach people and how to get results, but I just started. I never worked for a gym. I always worked for myself, and I started training clients in home. And then my in-home practice got really busy. I had a condo, and I actually converted my condo into a fitness facility. So my actual living room was like, those 3/4 inch stinky ass rubber mats. Okay. Like a functional trainer with cables and a pull-up station, and then like a rack of dumbbells. Yeah. So that was that. I rolled out of bed into my living room, and then I was at work. So I started to do that. So again, I was kind of taking a chance there. And I grew out of that, and then I moved into a facility about 2 years after that. But it took like my neighbors complaining, like the person under me, I felt bad for them. When we were doing jump squats, their chandelier would just be shaking all over the place. Crazy. And I think the security thought I was running a brothel, because I just have like people girls coming up, in and out, right? They're afraid to ask.
Oh, girls were coming in. Girls were coming in for you.
Yeah, exactly.
As a jiggle. Yeah. So you started this. You started the grind from your own house, low expenses, obviously.
Yeah.
And then obviously moving into a facility. What do you think were some of your biggest like fail forwards, like biggest like, oh crap, I screwed up, but I learned a ton from it?
I mean, I know you're into this too. It's just automation. So make everything as easy as possible, and systemize everything you can. I was running around for a bit. There's a lot of trainers that are out there working for themselves still, working by the seat of their pants. So you systemize everything as much as possible. Now there's so many more tools than there was when I started. And it just allows you to do what you do better without having to make so many decisions in a particular day. So systemizing program writing, payment systems, client emails, all that kind of stuff, just getting it down to a system and making your job a lot easier. The other thing was hiring. I would have hired a lot earlier and not done as much of the work myself, and kind of scaled it out. And I would say even a third thing after that is Instagram and social media. Because I kind of got the jump on. So when I first started training, Quiktrain was started in 2006. Full-time in 2008, and there wasn't many people doing the whole athletic style conditioning stuff. It was still, you could probably attest to this, it was still like bodybuilding style exercises. Like gyms 10 years ago didn't have like 10 squat racks. I don't know if you remember that or not. They maybe had like 1 or 2 squat racks. And now
it was like just a half rack. They didn't have the whole system that they have now.
Exactly. So now with CrossFit and everyone's like powerlifting and squatting, the gym that near my Scarborough store has about 11 squat racks. I counted them. It's crazy. Nice. So so it's just it was pretty wild at the time.
So not only did you start this business, you went out and opened up some supplement stores, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I get bored. So and I like to I love the training business. One of the things that I didn't love about it was I didn't feel like I was diverse. And I mean, even in a situation like COVID-19, where, it's nice to have your hands in other things. So at the time I had a friend that was involved in the Popeye supplements group. He was trying to get me to come over for a while. So I decided to open my first store. And then
while doing your whole fitness training,
while doing the fitness thing. And it was, so it ended up being a situation where I had employees and I was also doing the fitness thing, the supplement thing as well. I didn't last too long in the fitness game and the supplement game, to be honest with you. I had to cut down some of the hours from fitness in order to run the stores and learn to do that well. So
for sure. Yeah. So like you probably have tons of learnings. What were some of your learnings from running a supplement store?
You know what? A lot of the skill sets were the same.
Okay.
It's just people. Right? People like treating everybody like they mattered. It was just customer by customer. The stores are doing relatively well. And it's just, I know all my customers and just building a really, really strong relationship with my customers. And then after that, it was building, I heard, I can't remember who said it, but I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk, who's I'm a really big fan of. But when you have employees, you essentially work for your employees. So it was about making them as happy as possible and giving them, kind of targets and goals to realize for themselves that mattered to them. That allowed me to connect with more people. So if they were happy, then my customers were happy, and then we were able to deliver the customer service that we required.
That's right. You take care of your people. Your people will take care of your clients.
That's right.
So talk to me. Like, you got someone that wanted you to get involved in supplements. Why?
Listen, so he was a really good friend of mine from growing up, and we kind of started taking supplements together. So, we'd be those guys like at the track and field meets when we were like 15 with this mysterious powder and that nobody knew about, and it was creatine. And, just try to get that mental edge. We were looking at studies and we were, going on looking through different books and finding different, things that work to make us faster, stronger, whatever the case was. So we started using supplements a long time ago. Yeah. And it was one of those things that he jumped in. He was one of the first to market here in Toronto and did really, really well with the brand. So I again decided to jump in right after him because it's something that I was doing all the time. I was buying supplements, $1,000 worth of supplements for all my clients. He said, you might as well just buy yourself a store and have both businesses, right?
It's funny because I'm like you. When I was like 15, I got those like remember those big whey protein containers with that like rip off top back in the day?
Oh yeah, man. It was crazy. You used to buy those things for like, $60 or $80 and it would be this big and it would have like this much powder on the bottom.
I think my mom still has it because it was such a big white container they had back in the day. But
you couldn't finish no matter what you did.
No, there's no way.
It just expired. You couldn't actually ever finish it.
Yeah.
So, but it's great. It's changed a lot, man. Like it's stuff, everyone's into higher performance now, with the Instagram generation. Like everybody wants to look good and everybody wants that edge, right?
So I get this a lot from clients, like, me, myself, and you yourself too. We've always taken supplements our entire life. There's a lot of people who are new to the fitness game and new to getting healthy. What would you say to someone who's like, I've never tried supplements? Like, what would be my first thing? What would I get?
I would say, look at your diet first, right? I mean, even as someone who owns a supplement store, I will tell you that supplements are not magic. They will help, but they can only assist if you're doing the other stuff right. So making sure that the lifestyle stuff always comes first. So making sure before you see your local supplement guy and tell him to load you up with all the stuff, then you first want to make sure your sleep's right, that you're getting all the nutrients that you can from your diet, staying away from lots of sugar and excessive alcohol consumption, and just making sure that you're on a really strong exercise routine. And then we'll have something to enhance. Right. Then you come into us, you say, listen, D, I'm doing X, Y, Z. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. And then we have a kind of a foundation to start you off with. But to be honest with you, most people aren't getting enough nutrients. That's a thing that you can absolutely assume about people that we see on a regular basis. Right? How many people do you talk to and you sit in a consultation? You're like, well, how many vegetables do you eat? They're like, a couple of times a week, or non-existent, or I don't like vegetables, or whatever the case is. Well, some of the things problems we solve are problems just like that. Get you more nutrients, because they say that nutrients are, there are information for a body, right? So, tell your body, turn on certain gene expressions, give you energy in certain ways, and provide all the fuel that your body needs. So getting that is key. You'll find that you get the basics and, your physique takes off. You have a ton more energy and you may not even need the crazy stuff.
Dude, I'd love that answer because it's principle based, right? We focused on the basics of good nutrition first. That's like the bottom of the pyramid. So let's say this, I'm going to give you the hypothetical situation. They got their nutrition on lock. They got their sleep down. They're training 3 times a week. Yeah. What would be like the basic thing that they should be taking?
Okay. See, it's so the way we put it, it's different for everybody. So you come in and I call them the big 3, first of all. So you get your greens. Your greens are multivitamin. I kind of pair those two together because they have a variety of the baseline vitamins and minerals. Then you got your protein. Most problems can be solved with protein. If you're trying to bulk, you need more protein. If you're trying to cut, you need more protein for a number of reasons, but that's what's most abundant in muscle tissue. So it solves a lot of those repair problems that you may have. And protein also keeps you full for longer. So if you have a little bit more protein, then you need a little bit more of everything else, and it kind of keeps hunger at bay. But the third one's is fish oil. Omega-3 fish oil is one that a lot of people lack, and it's good for a whole host of things because it works on the cell. But things that people will find, and there's a lot of research and evidence being done on the higher levels of the medical system and heart research. But we know that it helps reduce cholesterol and heart disease. It helps with cognitive function. They've done huge studies on behavior and cognition and prison inmates and and daycares where they're administering fish oil. It helps with joints and inflammation. So that's my big 3. I know what you're trying to ask me. You're asking me what is going to get you pumped up and, feeling like you can run through walls.
No, this is a legit answer.
I actually fight that question. I don't know if people want to shop with me more so because I don't give them the hardcore stuff right away or what, but I honestly, that's what I truly believe. I have, hundreds and thousands of products in my store, and I'll go to those 3 every time.
So just so the viewers and listeners are clear, this guy owns a supplement store with tons of crazy crap that you can get that will create next level pumps. But he brought down to 3 things: protein, a good multi to fill in the nutritional gaps, and a fish oil.
I feel like you've said some of this before. I feel like that's why you're reiterating it.
No, no. It's funny. I was like,
he said it. He said it. He said it too.
Help me burn fat faster.
Yeah.
Give me a supplement. Give me something like a cleanse or something. Like it's
right. Yeah, because there's the cleanses are a huge craze now, and I don't think people tend to think the body works, the way that they want it to work. So if I have a shitty weekend and I eat a whole bunch of food, then there must be something that I could do like equal and opposite to reverse that. And like, it doesn't really, unfortunately, the body doesn't work that way. And we have our own internal systems that do help with cleansing. I have a problem with all these juice cleanses and stuff that are going around because they don't work. And as you know, they create that yo-yo mentality. So you'll always go back to bad habits, just knowing that you can kind of reverse them by, ordering a bunch of juices or something, but that's just not the case.
Needs to be sustainable. All right.
Yeah.
Here, now let's go hypothetical again. All right. I know you got your basics. You got your sound nutrition is down pat.
Yes.
Working out, sleeping. Now they got the top 3. They got a good multi. They got a good fish oil. Now they got a protein. What's that stack to take it?
Joe, you're still trying to get me to answer that magic pill question again. Hey, I'll give you. I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
You ready? So if you're there, so people ask commonly about. So I kind of group them into foundations and performance. Okay. So I've given you the foundations. I've pushed the foundations. I'm going to give the people what they want. Okay. So when you go into performance stuff, then there's certain performance supplements that have a very high degree of scientific proof. So not everything works on everybody all the time. But there's a couple of things that work really well. So for people that are looking to add strength to their program, we mentioned it already, creatine. It's been the most used supplement since the beginning of the time. And they're finding uses for it that even go far beyond the gym, but creatine is one of the safest, most effective things that you can get to boost power output, strength, and endurance. It's quite, and it's cheap too. So it's one of those things that you can get for $20, lasts you, 80 servings type of thing. So really, really good. The second thing, if you're going to be, and I'll tailor it specifically to your listeners, if you're going to be doing Fight Fit, because I've watched some of these classes and they're crazy. I even know some people that do them as well. They're really intense. They're really, really cardio driven. You definitely want to get a good amino acid supplement. So an amino acid supplement is muscular protective. So as your body starts is breaking down tissue, when you're, throwing all those like nice, tight, perfect punches, for over long periods of time, what's going to happen is your body's going to start to borrow energy from muscle tissue. It's going to start to break that muscle tissue down. In the same way that if you're doing a lot of cardio, you'll get smaller, but you'll lose strength. Well, that's because the percentage of muscle tissue is being broken down during intense endurance activity, right? So what you want to do is preserve that by giving it some of the amino acids that it's looking for as it's breaking down your muscle. I hope that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
So when you give it the aminos, then I would say creatine, amino acids, and maybe a little pre-workout if you're feeling a little bit sluggish and behind, because I know that's what you're looking for.
All right. But mind you, everybody listening, these is the icing on the cake, right? This is the
icing, exactly.
This is the icing. So once you got to get the foundations down first before you start messing with this stuff. Love it, man. Love it. We're gonna go into some questions and some Q&A. So for viewers that are watching this live, feel free to post some questions. I already got some questions already prompted from that were asked from my clients. Me and Derick are gonna both share. We're gonna both answer, have our own opinions on this. So I got one question here. So Faye asks, can you address intermittent fasting and how that could be incorporated into this meal plan? So we have a basic macronutrient meal plan with our program. I introduced IF in the last few days of my challenge and started eating more good fats, and this has helped me lose weight, but still not sure because my body fat hasn't changed much. So I think the question is intermittent fasting.
Last few days. So IF, there's so many different ways to do it. There's fasting and time restricted eating. So there's kind of like a couple different designations, but time restricted eating is like using a feeding window. So there's maybe your feeding window is only 8 hours a day, and then outside of that feeding window, you don't eat too much. That's a really, really good way to reduce calories. It's not fasting though. Fasting is typically considered to be 18 hours or more in a row. So you kind of have to pick what approach works for. I think lifestyle always comes first, and you can fit in with your training. It's tough. I'd have to know how long you've been doing it for and what you're doing to address why it may not be working. A lot of times people just don't necessarily take as much the time that's needed. So it may be that you're doing the right thing, but you just need to give it some time to work. Other than that, I would say if you're going to do intermittent fasting, make sure that your feeding window, you're able to eat post-workout, and then you start your fasting afterwards, and then you start eating again before your next workout. So I would say the performance is you base your eating strategy on your performance. So make sure that you always have food or you're fed for optimal performance, and then after refueling, then you go back into a fast type of thing.
Love that answer. I think I'll echo on what Derick was saying about eating after. Very important. You want to you want to not do fasted workout, or like you said, you're going to break down muscle tissue and everything, and your body's going to want to borrow from somewhere, especially if you don't have any food in you. But I want to touch on this because I see a lot of people ask me about intermittent fasting. I don't think people should fast unless they understand good macronutrient breakdown and they're operating already at a calorie deficit. Like for it to be like, they're almost treating it as like this magic bullet to like, hey, you know what? I'm going to fast for like 18 hours. I'm going to fast for 24 hours. I'm going to fast for 72 hours because I ate like
they used to call it anorexia back in the day.
I mean, right? Like, you can lose weight. You know what? Anorexia and bulimia are methods to lose weight, but I wouldn't say it's the best way. But that's essentially what you're doing. You're doing the model diet, right? You eat like crap, and then you cut your calories, which at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out is the best way to lose weight. But like Derick said, lifestyle, it needs to be sustainable.
So just to kind of shed some light, I mean, for a lot of these things like you talked about, like the magic pill, magic bullet, whatever the case is, the fitness industry is good at one thing, it's marketing. So what they've done with intermittent fasting, and not to say it doesn't have benefits, that's why I kind of made the distinction between time restricted eating and fasting, because fasting itself for extended periods of time does have benefits that go far beyond fat loss, which is like, creating and improving antioxidant pathways, stirring up growth hormone, autophagy, which is responsible for kind of eating away like bad cells. Exactly. That may be slowing down your overall system. So there's a lot of things that can be gained from intermittent fasting. But with time restricted eating, honestly, the most powerful thing about that is that it's a method of calorie reduction. So what Joe's saying is that, like, looking at your macros and following them in a deficit is calorie restriction. Intermittent fasting is calorie restriction. The keto diet is calorie restriction. The fucking orange, sorry, can I swear? The orange diet is calorie restriction. Like, it's all calorie restriction. So it's like, we've been marketed these things that are like these magic keys, but if the most comfortable way for most people to lose weight is by first understanding the food that's going into your body and how it affects you, and then taking that food and then taking your activity level, increase your activity level, reduce your food a little bit, right? And then stay in that zone where it's not super uncomfortable, right? But it's comfortable enough that you're not miserable and you can still live your life. And then slowly kind of chip away at that discomfort. I know people that have dieted before are much more comfortable in a calorie deficit than people who haven't. So if you're doing it for the first time and you're just starting to exercise and you're not used to that level of output, then a gentle deficit is the best way to do it. And if you do that over time and you give yourself enough time, then your results will come. Great.
Love that add-on over there. So fasting is good. They have its place, but not always the.
But it's honestly exactly the same as everything else. The best way to do it is a moderate approach.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. I got this next question. Chelsea asks, does drinking coffee add to my water intake for the day?
That's a good one. It does, actually.
Okay.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. Coffee does have a diuretic effect, but it's been everything's kind of exaggerated. So yes, coffee will give you a diuretic effect, but it does add to the water content. I would tell you that you don't want to drink only coffee, but if you're drinking coffee in a regular amount, then yes, it does. But the other thing I'd say, if you have to ask this question, you probably don't drink enough water as it is. So if you're that close to the line where you have to like include your coffee in order to get there, then you need to drink more water. Put the coffee down and throw some water.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you had to ask this, you're probably like, hey, how can I squeeze more water in?
Yeah. No, you're right. Amino acids are great for that. Like BCAAs, right? Branched chain amino acids, they're really good because they actually taste good. There's 0 calories, and that can also add to your water content. So think about picking up something like that if you're not a huge water drinker.
For sure. Add a little flavor to it. To add on to this, yes, exactly what I was going to say is that drinking coffee has a diuretic effect. I always like to say most people aren't drinking enough water. So if you're drinking a cup of coffee, replace it with a cup of water just to keep it basic. So it's almost like a net zero effect with the diuretic effect that coffee has.
Yeah, and Joe, I treat it like alcohol, right? Like if I have like one to one, so one if I have a coffee, then I'll also have water. If I have a glass of wine, I'll also have water after it. So if you do that, you'll never be behind.
Exactly. Cool. Last question here. Nia asks, what if the number on the scale isn't moving?
You want to hit it?
All right, I'll go with it. I would first ask, it depends on how long you've been doing this for. If it's been a couple days, then you're not going to expect miracles in a couple days. So that'd be my first question. How long you been at it for? If it's been like 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and there's nothing moving on the scale, then we might have to do some investigative work and shift. But if you're at a calorie deficit for long enough, that number should go down. Like we said earlier, it's calories in versus calories out. Now, there could be situations where, hormonally there might be some issues, but typically for the 90% of the population, if you're eating properly at the specific calories that you should see numbers drop. And you have to do it long enough for the effects to actually take hold.
Niha, you got to write everything down, because I can tell you, you're not being as good as you think you are. Sorry, but it's true. At the end of the day, like food journaling and lifestyle journaling is everything. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 40. Everything affects my ability to lose fat. I'm talking sleep, the foods that I intake. Joe mentioned macros. Like if my protein is low, then my body's not as tight. Everything matters. So use your coach. If you got a coach, use your coach, because the coach might be able to see things that you won't be able to see. But I'll tell you, it's magic. You write everything down and you look at you start to look at days and weeks and feel the magic. The magic is this. Writing everything down, most people start to lose weight in that process. So they don't have that question of why am I not losing weight? Because all of a sudden the awareness goes through the roof. So instead of guessing and weighing things the way that you weigh them in your mind, you actually see them all laid out, and you can aggregate all your decisions that you've made in a day. And you're like, oh shit, I'm eating like an extra meal during the day, or oh crap, I eat, by the time I get home in the evening, I haven't even eaten 50% of my calories. And all of a sudden you got to play catch up. So you're eating everything in your pantry. Like write it down, man. You got to write it down, and you'll probably see it on your own. But if you don't see it on your own, then you'll be able to give it to a coach who's trained to be able to see those patterns. And usually most people are trying to lose weight, they're doing one or two things wrong, nothing else. So the coach will be able to say, look, these are all right. Don't feel too bad. I'm just going to take this. I'm going to move this, and I'm going to replace it with this. Off you go. And all of a sudden you got that key.
Love that answer. Now the scale, one thing I want to add on to this, the scale
is
a lag. It's a lag indicator. So what that means is that the effects of what you're doing doesn't happen till after the fact.
Yeah.
And what Derick was saying about writing things down, those are lead indicators. Right? You wrote down what you ate for breakfast. That's a lead indicator to how, the rest of the day is going to unfold. Your sleep. Are you tracking your sleep? Are you tracking your water? All those are lead indicators that should affect this lag indicator, which is weight. So I would also look at how you're measuring success. Like, are you measuring what what the actions are versus what the outcome is?
100%. And like Joe says, I mean, for some people, I don't even, so some coaches have different methods. Some will not weigh for months, right? It's just like, let's get all the behaviors on point. If we can get the behaviors to line up, then the weight's going to come. You don't have to worry about it. Some you like to use it just so you're getting the routine of doing it. But I'll tell you, for women, the scale's a liar. For men, the scale's a liar. For women, the scale's really a liar. And like, I could eat a bunch of carbs and I will start to store a bunch of water. I could shift 5 pounds in a day. So the scale is actually the worst. So take pictures, okay? Take pictures, even if you just have them to yourself. Take pictures, because you're going to be able to see a change in those before you're going to be able to see a change in the scale. And measure. If you're looking for a tight waist, then why aren't you measuring your waist? Like, you should be able to know if your waist is shrinking based on that measurement. Your arms, your hips, your chest. Measure everything and then see what happens. So you have some different indicators to piece together the bigger picture. But to be honest with you, of all those things, the scale is probably the worst measure of that.
Yeah, good. Love that. We had somebody here, Ryan Scott. Do you remember the bench press challenge?
Oh, that's my guy. So let me tell you the story. So the guy that I was talking about, that was probably, and I tell him this, and he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" That's Ryan Scott. So Ryan Scott was my manager, and he was like one of the first people to ever actually believe in me. And to be honest with you, Joe, like that that took my life and it shifted in a whole different place. I was going to go back to school. Like I wanted to, go to do poli-sci, a graduate degree in poli-sci and do all these different things. Ryan's like, no, you can sell. You're going to stay here with me and we're going to kick some ass. And we did for a lot of years. We really kicked some ass. But he was the first person to put a key in my hand and say, you know what, dude, you got this. I trust you. So that's my Ryan Scott. And yes, I do remember the bench press challenge, Ryan. Yeah, I remember kicking ass.
Thanks for that trip down memory lane.
Yeah, Ryan's the best, man. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, Derick. This show is about being a ninja, and it has that whole like martial arts, karate, kung fu feel.
Oh, hell yeah!
I always believe like our lives is like a training montage. So, do you have a favorite kung fu or action movie, like a training movie? Why?
I thought about this, and to be honest with you, I don't know if you could tell me because you're legit. If this qualifies, but The Matrix for me was one of my favorite. It's not a traditional kung fu movie, but if I had to do any other movie, I would do Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So if you're gonna disqualify the Matrix, then Crouching Tiger. Okay,
no, because the Matrix is legit. He went into the Matrix and he upload. That's the shit we all want to do. We want to upload that stuff in our mind and just learn it.
Exactly, and be in the zone and so Neo was the one. He had people that believed in him before he believed in himself, and all his training and all his belief brought him to this place where he became automatic. And that's what we all want to do. We always just become automatic. We want to own our environment, and we want to be so skilled and so in the zone that everything becomes effortless. When the agents are after him and they're shooting him, and all of a sudden he's just nonchalantly, he looks away and he's like, blocking the bullets and blocking the punches and stuff like that. Like that's where we all want to be with business and life. We want to be in the Matrix, man, where we see everything in ones and zeros, and it's like we're right in the code.
It just clicks. Automatic. It makes sense. Awesome. Yeah. Love that, man. Yeah. All right, my man. I really appreciate you being on the show and sharing your secrets on health, wealth, and being kick-ass. If people want to learn more about you, man, what's the best way to get at you?
I'm Quiktrain at Quiktrain on Instagram, Quiktrain. My name is Derick Samuel, DerickSamuel. So you can find me on Instagram, or you can find me on Facebook. And my website is www.quiktrain.ca. I got 2 stores. I got a lot. So you got to bear with me. Popeyes _ Scarborough. And Popeyes _ Young and Steels if you want to catch my stores. My stores actually have the most lit Instagram. You got to check it out. We do all kinds of fun stuff, prizes, giveaways. So yeah, check me out at any of those places. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm active on social media, and I will be happy to answer all your questions.
Awesome, man. Thank you again, Derick, being on the show. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much, man.